Hi, boys and girls. In this episode, we look at continents. At the end of this episode, you will be able to define the concept continent, recall the meaning of absolute, relative, and grid, review the concept absolute and relative location of continents, use the lines of latitude and longitude to locate places on continents. Use geographic terms to state the absolute and relative location of continents. Use mathematical skills to calculate the area of each continent. And complete at least 4 of the 8 activities at the learning centers. A world map and globe give a visual representation of planet Earth with all its water bodies and land masses. The proportion of water to land is approximately 70% to 30%. The 7 very large land masses that are completely or partially surrounded by water bodies, oceans and seas, are called continents. In order of size from largest to smallest, these continents are Asia, Africa, North America, South America, Antarctica, Europe, and Australia. In locating these continents on a map, the relative and absolute location can be given. Absolute location is the exact place on Earth that is given in latitude and longitude. This is the grid address. There are more than one grid addresses on each continent. For example, Kenya in Africa is located at 0 degrees and 40 degrees east, 0 degrees latitude and 40 degrees east longitude. And Namibia, Africa, is 20 degrees south and 20 degrees east. These would be read 0 degrees latitude and 40 degrees east longitude, 20 degrees south latitude, and 20 degrees east longitude. Relative location is the location of the continent in relation to another continent, land, or water body. For example, Europe is west of Asia. Engage. Find a map of the world in your atlas. Identify the large land masses that are completely or partially surrounded by water. So we're looking there for the continents. So a quick Google search will show the continents here. We have here North America, South America, we have Africa, we have Europe, we have Asia, Australia, and Antarctica. All right? Explore. Access the internet and download and view videos on the following continents. Demonstrations on how to use latitude and longitude to locate places. Use graph paper to estimate the area of an irregular shape. Explain. Use a world map to complete Table 1 with one absolute location and relative location for each continent. Examples are given. So here we have the continent, the absolute location, and relative location. So we have Asia and location 1, okay, absolute location 1. We have east of Europe, so you need to put 1. So for the absolute location, you're going to put that here. And the relative location, east of Europe. Africa 2, and we fill B in. North America, 40 degrees north and 75 degrees west. Okay, so we need to put in the relative locations. South America, put those in. Antarctica, Europe, and Australia. Extend. Continents have irregular shapes. Nevertheless, the area of each can be estimated by using graph paper. Method. First, trace the shape of each continent on a separate graph paper. Observe the boundary line. Now, count the number of 1 centimeter squares, that is, the complete squares inside the boundary. Then count the squares that take up half and more than half of a 1 centimeter square inside the boundary. Find the total area of each group. What is the approximate area of the largest continent? What is the approximate area of the smallest continent? Evaluate complete 4 of the 8 activities at the Learning Center. From the Faye Ellington Center, we have WordLink. Create a brochure on continents. Include the following: the continent that is completely surrounded by water. Caribbean territories that are located on a mainland. That's a continent. 2 continents that are not connected to another continent. And the continent with the most countries. From the Dr. Agri Irons Center, we have Self-Link. Make a journal entry about your experience using graph paper to estimate the area of each continent. Music Link from the Jimmy Cliff Center. Write song lyrics to the concept continent. Body Link from the Rex Nettleford Center. Make a model of the 7 continents. Materials you're going to need: sponge, paint, paintbrush, pencil, and a pair of scissors. Method: this is the how. Use a pencil to draw on each sponge an outline of a continent. Use a pair of scissors to cut along each outline the shape of each continent. Paint each continent with a different color and label each continent. Albert Einstein Center. From there we find the number link. Use the following absolute locations to identify and name a continent: 20 degrees south and 60 degrees west, 80 degrees south and 140 degrees east, 40 degrees north and 100 degrees east, 40 degrees north and 100 degrees west, 60 degrees north and 40 degrees east, 20 degrees south and 20 degrees east, 20 degrees south and 140 degrees east. Social Link from the Mary Seacole Center. Use a digital device and take photographs of the model of the continents. Share these images in the class WhatsApp group. Finally, Nature Link from the Dan Macaulay Center. Find out the name of the continent that is covered in ice. Are there living organisms on this continent? So in this episode, we were looking at continents. At the end of this lesson now, you should be able to define a continent. You should be able to recall the meaning of the word absolute, relative, and grid. You should be able to use lines of latitude to locate places on the continents, give the geographic terms to state absolute and relative locations of continents, and use your mathematical skills to calculate the area of each continent. And, of course, completing activities at the learning centers. Take care, and we'll see you in our next episode.